Okay, hello, it's me. Welcome to my channel, Life Home and My Linux Journeys. And in this journey, we're going to look at Fedora, but Fedora SilverBlue. Let me bring up a terminal, run a neofetch, fetch this out, make sure it all gets in place there. So we're running Fedora Linux 38, SilverBlue, 64-bit, and it's on the OptiPlex 790. Running the Gnome desktop with a Mutter window manager, AMD ATI Radeon. So let's go to their website. This is their homepage, fedoraproject.org//silverblue/. And here's where you'll come to get your download, any documentation, and a quick read about what they do and what is SilverBlue. It's built on the top of the Gnome desktop. It uses rpm-ostree for some package management. Is a hybrid image package system, which can not just a manager, a whole system. It combines live ostree and live DNF to provide atomic and safe upgrades with local RPM package layering. Applications as flatpaks, thousands of flatpaks it says here. You'll find out, I found out flatpaks are your best buddy if you're going to be running Fedora SilverBlue. It also has a thing called the Toolbox. Easily create OCI containers which are fully integrated with your host system, enabling seamless usage of both GUI and client tools. And from what I understand, you can set up a Toolbox, for instance, to use DNF, the regular Fedora package manager, to install something, and it's basically a container, and that would be on each app that you use. Now, I might be totally way off base, but that's what I got out of the read. And we'll look at that even more. It does have Fedora community support. There's 3 more related projects that run on the immutable desktop systems. Fedora SilverBlue. Try it. So you download. So you get on your documentation here. First thing it's talking about is installation. And you would think that everything's normal, but it is not. And I'm going to read this right here to you. Under known limitations, Fedora SilverBlue does not provide a fully functional experience for dual booting or manual partitioning. And that's the part that I'm paying attention to, because I like to manually partition my disk. In this case, I did not manually. I allowed it to do whatever it wanted to do, and I'll show you that. I'll show you that right now. It's odd. It gave it, for boot EFI, gave it 600 megabyte partition. And mounted under /boot, it gave it a 1 gigabyte partition. And then the rest of it is divided really on the root and then subdivided from there. Let's see. F-H. So shows that we've used 22% of SDA3, which is basically the whole drive. So that's the reason why I allowed it to partition itself. That took me out of the, my problem. Took me out of the picture, so it wouldn't be me causing a problem. But if you'll just back in and back up and look at that df command again, you'll see it was set up just about like this. And it goes through the installation through you a little more. Getting started in Fedora, they use flatpaks, like we said, and a Toolbox is available. It said used primarily for CLI, command line interface apps, development, debugging tools, etc., but also has support for graphical apps. This is their Toolbox. Let's just click on the Toolbox here, take us on down. As an immutable host, Fedora SilverBlue is an excellent platform for container-based development and for working with containers, etc. Toolbox. Toolbox makes it easy to use a containerized environment for everyday software development and debugging. How it works: takes the work out of using containers. There's that word again. So as an app goes, you would install the app using your toolbar, set up a toolbox. You have to create one first. Then once you've created it, from what I understand here, let's see, install toolbox, your first toolbox, you created it, and then you can enter it. And once you're into that, I don't know this for a fact, but right here it says DNF, that you can use the package manager DNF. So you can set up a separate container for each application that you can't get through the OS tree or flatpaks for whatever reason, and then use the toolbox to run DNF install whatever program that is. Then you can open it up, and as far as the system goes, it can't change the system. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, I haven't got into this as much as I probably should or could have, and I'll touch into that a little more here in a second. Let me go ahead and bring up a terminal. We already ran neofetch. I just installed Inksy and then rebooted. So let's see what we're using on a sound system. Host machine or host is Fedora release 38. Doesn't recognize it as being SilverBlue. On the machine, Dell OptiPlex 790. Under graphics, we're using X11. Now, it did default to Wayland in the very beginning, but when I logged back in after about the second session, I changed it over to X11, and you can see that here. But it does have X Wayland, so it's still working together. For me, Wayland doesn't work. I mean, I can get things to work, but barely. And I don't want to do that. I want my server just to show me what my desktop is. I don't want to have to worry about it not getting along with Voco screen, for instance. Under audio, let's see, we're using ALSA and Pipewire. Status is active. So let me show you one other thing here. Now, close that back out. And I don't think this will mess anything up, but let me bring up Voco screen. And OBS is running right now, so I don't think it'll mess anything up. Camera's busy. Won't let me close out. Let me just untick that. Go back here. If you go here, I'm not sure what you call this screen, but this is the available codecs that you can use. And you can see I got H.264 as well as the VP8, but there is not a H.265, and I haven't been able to find a way to get that in here. And I may not need it. So far, I haven't really needed it. Let me just close out of their web page here. And let's go over to a new screen. And where is my notes? Here they are. So here's those web pages that I just showed you. Here's a small list of, partial list of a software that I installed using flatpaks. And I have installed more. This was just where I started and took notes of these. OBS Studio, Kdenlive, Audacity, Krita, Impression, which is a USB writer or image writer, SuperTux, Type, Tux Football, which I hadn't got to play yet, but I'm going to, Extreme Tux Racer, Tux Puck sucks, but I put it in here anyway, and SuperTux. Now, unfortunately about the rpm-ostree, let me just demonstrate that. Let's see. rpm-ostree search. Let's say Gnome. Could be anything. But you'll see right here, there is no, when you got all the commands listed here, there is no search available. There's an install, rollback, uninstall, upgrade, but no search using the rpm-ostree. So keep that in mind. Know the name of the program that you want to install, make sure it's available, and then install it. One of the drawbacks, as I see it, as a typical end user on a computer, home user on computer, is every time I install a single program, for instance, I wanted to install some programs I used the OS tree to install them. And every time I had to, just say for instance, if I installed neofetch all by itself, before I could use neofetch, I had to reboot. Now, if you don't know the names or all the stuff that's available to you, that could take a long time doing each one, installing it. But what would take longer would be the reboot process. And you can't use the whatever you've downloaded and installed, you can't use it until you reboot. I found that out not easily. I was like, I just installed it, and I'd run the command again and it'd say it was already installed. Then I realized all I had to do was reboot. So here's that toolbox. I did install it. Bring up another terminal. Shift B. Stretch that out just a hair more. So you got a lot of options. This is the toolbox that I just went over a little bit. It's fairly extensive here. Won't go over it in detail because I don't know the details too. I do know that the first thing you have to do is create, and then you can enter that, and then you can search or install whatever the package is you're looking for. Let's see. The installing the programs and having a reboot, that's kind of a long journey. But once you get through that journey, as I understand it, you can at that time relax because you won't have to do it again unless there's an upgrade. That's another thing. Every time you do an upgrade, if there's the slightest little upgrade, you have to reboot before it can take effect. And I get all that. And if I was in an office or had another office and had 3, 4, 200 computers in my system, I can't think of hardly a better desktop system that I wouldn't have to worry about. And what makes it even better, if somebody somehow did mess something up or there was a patch on my own system, I could apply that patch and then deploy it throughout or whatever the network was. And I get that, I really do. But for the end user, myself, as a typical desktop user, I'm not going to stay in Fedora SilverBlue. I could do it. I could make it work for me. I know I can, because I've already got most, if not all, the packages that I need or use to do my little creation, and I also got some games that I can play. So, I don't know what else could you say. And audio works, video works. Trying to think, did I have any problems? Bring it on disk here. This is a SSD. It's a small SSD. And I've only got 16 hours on it. And I'm sure I got it before I even moved here, so that would be over 3 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, the reason I bought my first SSD, or not the reason, but a reason, was because we were in the Big Daddy Linux Live one Saturday night, and Mr. Esnick said something about the price of SSDs had come way down, and that was 2 or 3 years ago now, easy. It's been that long since a Biddle show has been alive. So anyway, I'm pretty sure I bought like 3 or 4 of them, 120 gigs. They were like $12. I don't know. They were very, very cheap. He was right. And they've still come way down. You can get terabytes now for a lot less than I used to pay for an $80 PATA drive, 80 gig PATA drive. Rule of thumb back when I first started buying hard drives was about $1 a gig, if you can imagine that. Anyway, that's Fedora SilverBlue. Now, if I had to give any of my impressions or anything, I would just have to be honest and say, for me, for a home user, it's not for me. If I was in a place where I had to worry about things breaking all the time, it could be. It'd be very easy to roll it back. That's some of the great functions that they do have here. And close that out. And like I said, I can't really think of a single program that I would typically use that has not been available. I think I'm trying hard to remember if there was anything that I wasn't able to get, and I don't think there was. I guess that's going to conclude this video. One more thing to bring up a terminal. Now, I pre-installed Linus so that I wouldn't have to install it and then reboot and then come back to you. So I've already installed Linus. So let's go sudo. Well, let me show you something first. If you're not familiar with Linus, just run a simple man, man, and then Linus. And it tells you that Linus is a security auditing tool for Linux, Mac OS, and other systems based on Unix. If you're running, right here first time usage, when you're running Linus for the first time, run Linus audit system. So if you ever get confused about how to use it, just run the man on Linus and you'll be able to see there's a lot of options that I'm not going to use. So let's go ahead and run it. I'm going to run it with sudo privileges, and I don't know, this is live. I don't know how this is going to work. It may buck and say I can't run it on this system. I don't know. But I suspect a pretty good score, and I'll show you the firewall is enabled. I forgot to do that. Are you kidding? Oh. There's problems here. Nope, it's still running. Guess my mouse running over it stopped the screen. I want to open that up while this is running. Querying the RPM package manager. The firewall is enabled. Run firewall D. There is no, I do not have any antivirus installed. I gotta say too, SilverBlue is fast. It's not exceptionally blazing fast, but it's snappy. Uh-oh, here we go. 66. I'm kind of really surprised by that. I mean, that's not a terrible score by no means, but it's not the best I've seen on a system, especially well, I don't want to brag about any other systems, but I have seen higher just right out of the box. Kind of surprised about that. Let me close this out. So like I said, that's going to do it for this sort of review of Fedora SilverBlue. I like the system. I really do. And I surely get how and why it's exceptionally useful. But again, in my everyday usage case, sometimes I like messing things up just so I can figure out what I did and how to fix it. And this system will stop you from doing a lot of that kind of stuff. And so there's another space where this would be very useful. You know, if somebody's scared they'll mess their system up all the time, here's a system they can't mess up. At least I don't think they can mess it up easily. All right, guys. Fedora SilverBlue. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on another video. Bye.